Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. I don't know about you, but I'm so excited it's Friday.
It's so beautiful out.
It really is, and it's going to be hot this weekend, which on one hand is terrible, but on the other hand just means, hey, there's a pool with my name on it somewhere.
And a floaty.
And a floaty. Oh my gosh, yes. And I will say, I've decided that my way of making $1 million in this world is going to be in designing maternity swimwear that is functional, wearable, and not hideous. Like I have a suit that I don't hate the looks of, but at the same time, getting in and out of that thing, like I'm like a proportionist, but it's a one piece. Oh my God, forbid I ever have to go to the bathroom because it's just over. There's no way it's going back to work.
The takinis are good because they're long.
Yes.
And they cover, but at the same time, they don't have the bathroom issue.
Yes. So much better. So I think that is going to be a purchase.
That and a lemonade. Go to the pool.
Oh yeah. Just sit there with the umbrella in your drink, pretend you're having somebody fan you, and go to town. But we are here with Katie Drennan this week, who I hear you have a shout out.
I do. Hi. I guess I can say names.
I think you can say a first name at the very least.
Well, I'm like, I told her I would say hey. We were talking about pregnancy discomfort this week, and she was so excited. She's been following us. She thinks you guys are probably around the same gestational age. I said, I think so. So she said, I can't wait to watch. She goes, if I can't watch, I watch on YouTube. So.
Oh, wonderful.
So she is probably working today, so she'll watch us on YouTube later. But I told her I would give away some of the secrets to her, and then today we talk about pregnancy.
Oh, I am so excited about all of the secrets you're going to give away today.
All right,
29
weeks. Stay tuned, Drennan.
Yes, stay tuned. I am 29 weeks and change. I mean, a couple of days probably at this point, which it's the beginning of the third trimester. So if anybody out there is watching, we'll ask you again as we go on, but let us know how far along you are and how you're feeling right now, because I will say at the beginning of the third trimester, I probably feel better overall generally than I have throughout my pregnancy. However, I have to build in extra time to get anywhere. I cannot move fast.
No.
And my husband and I went for a walk. We went to the Botanical Gardens last Sunday, and we were just wandering around. We weren't there maybe an hour. I was done for the rest of the day. And it was humid,
hot.
it was hot and whatever, but it just wipes you out.
It does.
And apparently it's the baby's fault. One of the first and many things that we'll blame on the kid.
Welcome to the rest of your life.
All right, that's what I keep saying. I feel bad complaining because I'm like, it's not going to get any easier, but it will get better, I'm sure.
Energy burst around this time is good. It makes you want to get out and do things. Go to the pool, put the swimsuit on. If you were 38 weeks pregnant, you may not want to put the suit on and go to the pool, or take your other kids and go along, but for the most part, energy's good.
So Katie is a labor and delivery nurse and a mom of 2, and she is a nurse with the Women and Infants program at Barnes-Jewish Hospital, Washington University, and St. Louis Children's Hospital. So you have a wealth of knowledge. How many years? You told us the last time how long you've been doing this.
So I've been with BJC for 15 years. I got my notice in the mail. I'm really young. Sorry, as a baby. No, I'm just kidding. So I started in Women and Infants, or labor and delivery, 12 years ago. Actually, we are officially 12 years. And then I started with WashU 2 years ago. So I'm their patient care coordinator for OB/GYN. So.
Okay. So you've seen just about everything. Do you get surprised much anymore?
No. And I even say that. I'm like, if you surprise me, it's rare. And that's kind of a good and a bad thing, right? I mean, sometimes in situations you want somebody that's a little even keel and that's seen it. I mean, at the beginning, I know somebody that specifically can tell you, yes, everything made any of us go, and they're like, that'll go away. So that's a good thing. But yeah, I have 2 boys, and I think life lessons probably more from them even, because from the labor and delivery side of it, you see a lot of the end. From my perspective now, with WashU, it's nice because it's beginning to end, and then afterwards people bring their sweet babies in, and I get to snuggle, and they can have 5 minutes to themselves. So if you're one of my patients, bring your baby, I'll snuggle.
I'm sure it's much appreciated.
I love it, yes. And bless their hearts, they're fussy, they're gassy, and they're like, I need 5 minutes. I can walk, I can bounce, because then I give baby back. So, and I don't go home and make anybody jealous. So I do have 2 boys. I had summer pregnancies with both of them. They were born in November and October. Okay. My first was a 9-pounder, so yeah, know the uncomfortableness. Second one, he was a little smaller. Thank you, Owen. So he was an October baby, and his summer was a little bit hotter, but you get through. And the pool is your saving grace, as we were already saying, and that was totally unsolicited, but no saunas, no hot tubs when you're pregnant, but swimming pools, They are amazing.
Just the fact that gravity goes away for a split second is the greatest thing. And I had gotten into a pool for the first time in my pregnancy. Was last weekend, and climbing out of it was almost painful because it was like, oh,
you're like, oh, I have to use
I'm
ladder
back to normal.
Yeah.
And it's that is a nice segue to, I feel like I need a ladder for everything to get out of bed in the morning. I mean, I don't need to be, but it helps a lot if I'm pushed or if I have some form of,
because our beds are like soft, right?
Yes.
So it's not like a chair where you can just kind of hop up. You do need, or in the middle of the night, you're like, oh gosh, how long have I been asleep? Like 6 hours? You're like, 2 hours.
2 hours. Oh. Yeah.
Well, now I gotta pee and roll over?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think that's a great place to start. And I will be asking Katie questions just by virtue of the one and only experience I am in the middle of. From my own experience, yes, it's getting
so
bigger.
Cute.
It keeps every once in a while. Hopefully this doesn't happen, but earlier today I was sitting at my desk and I noticed my shirt had climbed up to like here.
And you don't feel it.
No, don't feel it at all because you know what? The pants go up to here.
So it keeps it covered.
Everything's covered. You just can't tell. I had if any children of the 80s and 90s will recognize this reference. I was getting dressed this morning and I caught myself in the mirror after I put my pants on. I was like, I had a very Urkel moment. Like it was pants up to
or
here.
stirrup pants. Remember
those
stirrup
were
pants?
Yes.
My sister-in-law, who sorry in advance, but she loved them.
6th grade. So you know what? It's forgivable when you're in middle school and they were the fashion trend. But I think I owned them in jeggings and all kinds of shades and styles.
I had one pair, but yeah. I know some people that lived in them. I'm going back to pool for 1 second because I do want to say with pregnancy, wear sunscreen and apply more often and at a higher probably level. Your skin is just a little more sensitive when you're pregnant.
Really?
So just keep that in mind.
Okay.
Now we can. I was like, I
And
need
you
to add
only-
my sunscreen tidbit.
And you only get tan on one side. I've noticed I am much darker on the front than on the back this year.
It is harder to get on your belly on the raft because
Yeah.
that's even more awkward to try to get on the raft.
Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit more about pool, I guess, as we go along, but I think sleep is a really good place to start because I know that is one area where even if you can make it through the whole day, as much as exhausted as I am by 10 o'clock at night and ready to go to sleep, and I do conk out, waking up is painful. I mean, it's just stiff and
it's like you've been sleeping on concrete, even though it's soft as can be.
Yes. Yeah. Are there what advice do you give women as pregnancy progresses and things that they can do or habits that you can start even earlier to just line you up for the best possible?
So honestly, when you are tired, go to bed because there is a little bit of insomnia sometimes related. But pillows, I mean, which sounds kind of crazy. We talk about the body pillows and the pregnancy pillows and things like that, but things that you can put between your knees, you can kind of put under your hip. They make like a wedge pillow that you can kind of put under. So then you don't have all of your weight just against these springs, and not everybody has, a pillow top of the line mattress. So doing kind of the best you can. If it's more comfortable to sleep on the couch or the recliner, you can try that. I would caution if your water breaks, you're gonna ruin it. So going back,
valid point.
If you don't have a waterproof mattress cover on, put one on.
That is really smart.
Yeah.
It's like you've been doing this.
Or my water may have broken in the middle of the night. Luckily, I had one on.
Oh my gosh, how clever of you.
Yeah, because
it's a waterproof mattress.
Same like your baby's mattress. I mean, the water then pools on top and doesn't go through. Or if some people pee. I mean, 3rd, 4th baby, sometimes your bladders, bless their little pee-picking cute face hearts, your bladder's a trampoline.
Yeah.
And some people, they pee and it happens and we're not criticizing or anything like that, but you also don't want that on your mattress. So, do a nice mattress cover. Other than that, I mean, you can take a little Tylenol, things like Benadryl, Unisom. Those are safe during pregnancy if you have like a lot of
sleep aids are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Certain ones like like a little Benadryl, like I said, half a tab of Unisom. Those are safe if you're having a lot of insomnia, but if you are having that kind of insomnia, I say, talk to your doctor because there might be some other options they have too.
Yeah.
But just being comfortable, dressing comfortably temperature-wise. So if you have a ceiling fan or something like that and you wake up and you're like, I'm freezing cold, well, that's what's waking you up. So dress a little bit warmer. Typically pregnancy doesn't have
I would say
cold.
I wake up sweating bullets.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Sleep temperature or, drop your house temperature, wear GME's tank top, nothing, pants, whatever you want to wear. But that might help too.
Yeah, I think we've just come to terms in our household this year with the electrical bill is just going to be, or whatever it is, utility bill is going to be a whole lot higher because it's not.
No, they're like little internal furnaces.
And it's so bizarre because you'll go to bed at one temperature and then wake up completely, in the house temperature hasn't changed, but oh no, they've just, everything's cooked a little more.
And then you're like sweaty. You're like,
yes.
why am I sweaty?
Yes.
I will tell you, it happens postpartum too. The hormones.
Okay.
So even having a November baby, I remember waking up, full GMEs and everything. Sweating. Yeah, those are the hormones.
Well, this is, I feel like I should have a pen and paper here because I'm going to lose track of all the questions
go back
I have. They can go back. I cannot. But if you're watching and you have questions as we go along, please feel free to ask them because I will forget a few. And we'll start with, we'll continue with the sleep discussions. You can take a little bit of a sleep aid. Body pillows. I know that I have one that it's a C shape actually, and I said I would much prefer a J shape because the C comes up and it gives me a kink in my neck. Yeah. But it's nice to have the pillow that goes, and I sleep with it between my knees because of the hip discomfort. I've had that since first trimester. Yeah. And is that just something to help level?
It does. It kind of keeps you from being like this, kind of shifted to like this. And I'm not a chiropractor, so they can probably better speak to that. But kind of keeping things in line will help you. I think maybe taking a nice bath. It doesn't have to be a hot bath, but getting like some sort of like fizzies, lavender, things like that kind of calm you before bed can also kind of get you ready for bed.
Sure.
It's kind of like kid stuff. Like they make the nighttime lotion with lavender to calm. So moms are like, because they do want to go to bed.
We all need a little cool down time. I remember that when I was babysitting, that the kids would get 15 minutes of cool down time before we started the bedtime routine, and that's kind of where I am now.
Really should.
You should spend shopping online.
Not for baby stuff.
No, never. But then, so the other thing, we had someone who last week when we were on talking about third trimester, I believe her name was Heather. I might be misstating that. I can't remember for sure, but she had mentioned that I think she's pregnant with her fourth child and had said that she is 28 weeks now, already has the waddle down, is uncomfortable, and was fine with her first three. Is that typical? Is it every pregnancy is different? Is it age? What is it that...
So a couple of things. Yes, every pregnancy is different. You could have a terrible first pregnancy, have a great second pregnancy, vice versa, things like that. You will notice each pregnancy has its time where you're just like, I feel this sooner, I feel it earlier. Those ligaments and everything have stretched before. So they're already like, hey, this is what I need to do again. And so you have round ligaments that a lot of times we're always like, oh, it's round ligament pain. And I think people think we're blowing them off. We're not. It's a common thing that you can treat with, hot packs, ice packs, Tylenol, or a good pregnancy belt. So I would say that you may notice too that you kind of, rather than first pregnancy where everything kind of gradually increased, like all of a sudden you're like, oh, this you're like, bam, bam, bam. And you're like, oh. It's just, you've had a baby before. Your body just kind of knows what to do. So getting a nice supportive pregnancy belt will help. Don't get the tank top kind. My dress is not really, but like the kind that just does this, because it's really not doing anything but covering your belly. So getting like a good Velcro one, especially if you're lifting kids up, doing a job like, my labor and delivery job, I probably should have had one on because I'm moving patients and I'm lifting patients, but it takes that pressure off those ligaments and that pelvis and kind of helps let you be able to live life.
And it looks like we have a question.
We do. So Jocelyn, hi Jocelyn.
Hi Jocelyn.
She heard that sleeping on her left side is best, but sometimes she just wants to sleep on her right. Is that going to hurt the baby?
No, you can sleep on either side. It's kind
I'm
of
a right side sleeper.
And
just given up.
Have you noticed pregnancy made you sleep differently? Like which side you like better?
You know what the funny thing is? I was a standard right side. This is to Jocelyn's point. I was a right side all the time sleeper before. Now I don't know if it's just that it's the weight or what. I want to sleep on my back.
Yes.
And I haven't had any problems yet, but there are times when I will wake up and it's harder to breathe, or nothing is dramatic.
No,
it's
but that
just
pressure.
There's just pressure and it's discomfort, not pain. But it is fine to sleep
so
on
either side, we don't want you laying flat on your back, kind of really around that halfway mark on, because you have huge blood vessels that are supplying your baby with nutrients and blood and all those kind of fun things. It's a children's website, so I'll try not to get too gory. So if we tilt you, you're tilting your baby off those. So either way is fine. That old way of school thinking was always left. But now they're like, as long as you're comfortable. So if you are a super back sleeper, and I'm going to use her pillow for just a minute, and you find yourself waking up on your back, which I occasionally did with my first because it felt so amazing. And then I was like, Putting something like a tilt behind you. So if you're in
Yes.
bed, to kind of tilt. So if you, that way you're kind of like this rather than flat on your back is a good idea too.
Well, and like I said, I sleep with the pillow that is it lays in front of me, and I've done it when it's behind me, but then my husband has no room, so sorry.
They can sleep on the couch.
But, poor guy has a few times, but just by choice, because also pregnancy makes you snore. Which is, so I have the pillow that's in front of me, and then if I want to be on my back, I mean, if I want to be, pardon me, on my left side, I prop myself up in the back, but that just creates more of that furnace factor of I just wake up hot, sweaty, and miserable. So.
Yeah, you kind of just keep pillows on both sides and room. Yeah, but no, either side's fine.
Yep. We have another question?
Yeah, so Jessica says, and this is a little bit long of a setup.
Okay.
She's only 13 weeks, but she's already been experiencing some of these traditional third trimester issues, pulled muscles in her abdomen.
So sorry, everybody. We are having some technical difficulties, I guess. We had our Wi-Fi connection drop for a little bit. We were just saying we should have just said, nope, sorry, just needed a potty break. At this point,
Everybody needs one.
Nobody would be the wiser for it, or come back and it was a snack break. Yeah. Apparently Monday is National Jerky Day. Okay, so I have totally lost track because we kept talking. I don't know where we were whenever the signal dropped, so I apologize if we glossed over anything.
We have one question, actually.
Okay, perfect. That'll get us right back.
Yeah, so let's see. So Lindsay wants to know, how can she deal with pains in vagina and lower back hips?
How far along, just out of curiosity, Lindsay, are you? Because I know that there is some of that, at least from my experience, there was some of that in first trimester.
Yeah, there is.
Which is just
first
an
and third.
Yeah. Okay. And so what is the purpose of it, and how do you deal with it?
So hip and back pain, once again, just your body kind of getting used to pregnancy. It doesn't hurt to see a chiropractor if you're okay with that and your physician is okay with that. Always ask, just to kind of get realigned and those kind of things, get your hips kind of reset. The pain in the vagina, everybody's a little bit different with that. There's nothing actually like happening in your vagina, right? It's just more the uncomfortableness of everything kind of being pushed in that direction. So once again, pregnancy belt kind of lifts that out of there.
Yeah. And is it with the first trimester? Because I remember it being very early, and it was a point at which it was still kind of scary, and thinking that something was wrong. And every time I call the doctor's office, they're like, "We're going to diagnose you as still pregnant." But it was just—is it just that your body's adjusting to it?
Yeah, it's like your body at first tries to mimic a period because that's what it's trying to do. It's trying to.
Yeah, I think that's probably a really good comparison. It did feel kind of like cramps.
Yeah,
but
you
not
cramp,
as,
you ache. It's like your body. Even if you think about a period, it feels like things are just trying to get out of there. So it's almost like you feel like there's this pressure, uncomfortableness, and it's just that your body trying to figure out what's going on.
Okay.
So it's hormones making your brain, get on board.
And you can blame Google for what I'm about to say and completely correct it. Is it that lightning pain? Does that sound familiar? Have you ever heard of that?
So there's two different, like that lightning, like sharp.
Yes.
Okay, there's that, and there's lightning where it feels like the baby is like shifting downward for delivery.
I was gonna say, which is kind of terrifying when you're Googling it and don't know which one you're trying to figure out is which, because it was first trimester I think I was experiencing.
Yeah.
But what is the difference, and what is there?
I have no idea, I'll be honest
Okay.
with you. It's probably just adjustment to both early pregnancy and getting ready for delivery. So as you will notice, not yet, please, in a few more weeks, more after that 37 week, you may, go into your doctor's office and your belly be up here, and somebody go, oh, you're nowhere near delivery. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, wow, your belly really dropped. It's kind of like that, where baby's just kind of coming into the pelvis.
Moves on down.
At first trimester, we don't want that baby to be in your pelvis. Everything's still low into the uterus. It hasn't grown up, so it's probably just the hormones and stuff from that.
Okay.
And can I say one thing really quick to people? Because I've had people ask me about this too. Abby's very real. The questions she asks on here, occasionally she asks them I think more or less to kind of get her facial expressions ready.
For the most part, get them in order, because
Not
I
to be
do
like,
not have a poker face.
Oh my gosh.
When Cameron told me my shoes would never fit again last week, it was all I could do not to cry.
Right?
Okay.
So when she asks these again, she has a little bit more of a serious face, but it's the same question. So she's very real about all these, because they're very similar to what other people are asking.
Yes,
so.
and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I do still even with these resources around me, I do still look stuff
Everybody
up just
does.
on my phone when I've got a couple of minutes and check the apps and all of that stuff. I have nieces who are obsessed with what size the baby is each week, what fruit, and they ask what fruit or vegetable. We're up to an acorn squash apparently.
You never look at veggies the same again, or fruit, when you go to the grocery store again.
Never. That is
And the
so
first time you walk
true.
by a watermelon and you're like, that's the 40-week
That is
analogy.
so terrifying.
You're like, I hope it's that watermelon, not that one.
Exactly. Yes, and there are different sized watermelons.
Yes.
But so you've got through the day you're dealing with back and shoulder pain and being hunched over a little bit. Another thing we talk about, and we talked about this a lot in the first and second trimesters, I guess, early on in the show. But the value of exercise and whether or not you're able to do it. I can tell you, I was telling someone the other day, the workout I do is called bar, B-A-R-R-E, and it's not athletic and it doesn't require an enormous amount of coordination, which you really appreciate, but it is athletic, excuse me. It's not like playing basketball, which requires you to run up and down a field.
Don't do that pregnant.
No, it just sounds uncomfortable and miserable. But I had said my biggest problem has been how short of breath I have been throughout. But
You
now,
also carry a little bit higher.
so apparently my lungs don't have room anymore. But I said, when I'm working out, I don't have that problem, which is so odd. But I think part of it may be just an intention thing. But
or how you're holding your body, and when I've done core classes and things like that, you're not slumped over, you are paying attention, and sometimes it's in front of a mirror of how you're holding your body, and that might help too.
However, getting up and getting down, so there are mats involved when I'm working out. They're very good about making adjustments and telling me what to do and having appropriate maneuvers in place. But I will say I experience some pain lower abdomen. And what I tell people is the area that I don't know what's happening because I can't see it. But if you standing up, there's just muscle pain right there.
And when you go from a sitting to standing, round ligament.
And it's all the time. I mean, it's not just in classes. It's like when I stand up here.
When you go to stand up here, you're going to be, it's round ligament.
And so that just continues until, does everything go back? Yes, I was trying to find another way to ask that question.
Yes and no. I mean, you still, I think occasionally I'll go to sneeze and, if I'm sitting wrong, I'm like, not the pee part that everybody's thinking I'm going to say.
No, but the sneezing, it hurt. I swear I pulled a muscle.
There is a video for, I don't remember, some pad company, and it's the cock your leg or knees sneeze song. It's hilarious. So if you have a chance, Google it. I have it saved on my phone. But anyway, you're like, ooh, those ligaments. And you experience it earlier each pregnancy. It's just one of those things that good stretching will help, and sometimes a pregnancy belt.
Yeah, and on that note, and I did not pre-ask this question, so I have no idea what your response is going to be. But in your opinion, do you think yoga? We hear a lot about yoga in prenatal yoga. Is that something that you recommend for patients?
You can definitely do some prenatal yoga. The other thing I would say, if you have a pool, going back, take advantage, because swimming is for exercise fantastic when you're pregnant, because you don't have that. You have that. No gravity thing. Sure. But it's a lot less on your body. So it's a great option too.
Okay.
So you could definitely do that. Even if you have a workout place with a pool. I mean, they're a little over chlorined. Don't drink it. You're okay. But, but just getting out and doing laps, it's amazing what it can do for you.
Yeah.
And, staying active. It's hot, so hydrate. You were saying you can breathe better and things like that. You're probably also staying hydrated better. So your blood flow is just kind of going. So staying hydrated, working out in the morning, the evening, not in the heat of the day. Stay away from black asphalt.
Oh my gosh, it makes, it's a huge difference.
It literally is like your body just drains into it. I mean, even not pregnant, you're like, it's hot, but pregnant,
your
you're
energy
like,
just goes right
into it.
Yeah. And then after working out, is there any sort of, do you have to worry about getting enough calories, or is that?
So you still need your 300 extra calories with working out. I don't think you necessarily need to worry about the calories. More or less just making sure you have things that if you normally get bad muscle cramps, like after, making sure you have protein or a protein drink or like a protein bar before and after. Sometimes you don't want to eat or drink anything right before because it makes you kind of nauseous, right? Like if you're, doing certain movements. So maybe after having like a protein bar.
Well, and that kind of brings us into the food area, which we've talked about before, and I know so many people have struggled, and I have struggled a little bit with heartburn.
Yeah.
And how much what you're eating plays into that. And last week we talked a little bit about still the drugstore options. And I think it's an important reminder to everyone, because I know that if anybody out there is like me, no matter how many times you have professionals telling you, yes, you can take Tylenol. Can you take Motrin?
No.
Okay.
Especially now, third trimester. Most importantly, do not take it third trimester.
No Motrin third trimester. Got it. But Tylenol and you said you've recommended, just when we were chatting before, Pepcid. Was it Pepcid?
Pepcid, Zantac, over the counter, Nexium. You know, my first, bless his heart, I felt like a fire-breathing dragon. First trimester, I didn't even know I was pregnant, and I thought, what is wrong with me? Something's not right. It didn't matter what I ate, what I didn't eat. Nothing worked. And he came out. Now, the old wives' tale that they have lots of hair. Very true.
Really?
My second, I had heartburn, not as bad, a lot less hair. At 4 months, my first one needed a haircut, and he's still, I mean, he gets a haircut, and a week later, I'm like, you need a haircut again. And he's so cute.
Problem.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of, yes, it can be food related, but then you have patients that, I had a lady one day, she couldn't even sit down. She was so uncomfortable. And at that point, we're way past the point. But if you are that uncomfortable, Pepcid, Zantac, over the counter, if Tums aren't cutting it, chuck them.
And I've known people who, and I've had to do this once, or just once actually, but you have to sleep sitting up. Just because it is the only way
so bad.
to be out of pain.
Some people say eating an apple. For me, it almost made it too much. It was too acidic then at that point. Like I said, I was so far gone with my first. But eating an apple sometimes will neutralize the acid.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you have to sleep sitting up, get some Pepcid or Zantac. They do take about 2 days to work, so don't expect to be like,
and
it's not working.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So give yourself a little time. But you know, real acidic things. So lemonade, like we were talking about, might cause problems. Oranges, those kind of things. You don't want to like completely suffer your entire pregnancy. So totally safe along with Tylenol. It's totally fine.
And Tylenol brings me to headaches. I have not personally experienced them, but I know that a lot of people talk about having them again first and third trimesters.
You know, it comes down to hormones again, plus the hormones. Some people that have migraines outside of pregnancy do great during pregnancy because the hormone balance. Other people that have never had them then come into pregnancy and they're like, what is this? 2 extra strength Tylenol and a little bit of caffeine. So you are allowed 2 regular brew coffees, a soda and a tea, 100 milligrams of caffeine a day. But having that with a little bit of caffeine sometimes will just take care of it.
Interesting.
And if you have the option for a nap, take the nap.
I was gonna say, I knew that before, because I had headaches before I got pregnant, had them in the first trimester. Is there anything I can knock on here? But it was, is there some sort of
wood here at the desk?
Still knock on wood. But I've not had that experience in the third trimester, which has been,
I was like,
a gift to not have to deal with headaches. There are a lot of
also
other
don't have
discomforts.
hormone ones from like your period.
Yeah.
So there's no period, there's no no headaches. So
yes, there are some real pleasant trade-offs there. And the last thing I really want to make sure that we talk about is in doctor's appointments. I think now when we're all being asked, have you experienced any contractions?
Yes.
Now those who are watching who have had pregnancies before, you know exactly what you're talking about, and you can say yes or no with certainty. For someone who has never had a contraction, what exactly are you looking for?
So when we kind of talk about contractions, we differentiate between Braxton Hicks and the real contractions. So Braxton Hicks are those little kind of contractions your body has. Your body's actually had quite a few contractions and you haven't even felt it. As the uterus grows and expands, it contracts because if it just did this the whole time, like Nicole showed us with the balloon.
The balloon,
yes. So it has to do that just to grow. Some people don't notice them. I know with my first, like you, I was like, I have no idea.
And they're going to be just like that during labor.
Yeah, you smile, you're the whole time. Braxton Hicks will kind of make you go, oh, what is that? And it's as the baby's butt kind of almost like pushes out, or head. You know, we still have plenty of time here. And you almost feel like everything's kind of pushed back against your ribs, and you almost have to like readjust. And it's not that your back hurts, but you're like, that's a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's just discomfort.
Yeah, and it can happen walking, can happen sitting, can happen at dinner. So usually we'll tell you hydrate. If it becomes repetitive, uncomfortable, you have more than 10 in an hour, or 6 in an hour, call us. If it's real labor is more, I don't want to use the word painful because that is uncomfortable, but real labor almost makes you go, ooh, where you have to like almost bend over your baby, and because baby's kind of trying to push out, as we learned with our balloon video. So I think that's a good way to differentiate them. If you are below 37 weeks, so 36 weeks and on below, you need to call your provider if they're becoming repetitive and uncomfortable. The big things we're going to tell you are to hydrate, rest, and if they don't go away, then we need to see you.
Okay, very good. And then is there anything how early do they start?
Well, that's what I mean. A lot of people have them. I remember with my first having an ultrasound, I'm sorry to keep referring back to him, but she goes, oh, you're having a contraction. I'm like, did not feel it. Did not know it.
Yeah, and I'm sure at that point you're like, well, if that's the way this is going to go.
I'm like, well, okay. And I was like, okay, great. So a lot of times you're not even feeling them. So it's not doing anything, but just kind of growing and expanding. But if you're feeling them, your body's trying to tell you something. Either baby's repositioning, so sometimes you'll feel them as he or she is, because I don't know what she's having either, is trying to get into position, or just they're uncomfortable with the way you're sitting in the car, and they're like, they want to move too. So,
and that's the one thing I know that a lot of people, it's funny because everybody talks about babies kicking and whatever. It's been such a strange thing for me to wrap my brain around when you talk about that they're repositioning, and that could be there is some discomfort involved in that. It's not painful, but I don't even know that discomfort is the right word, or inconvenience or whatever. It's just a very strange feeling. And there have been times I'm like, are you trying to swim somewhere? Do you think you can get out? I don't know what your deal is, but where there's a lot of there's just so much movement that it does get to be where you can't quite decide if it's,
and you can't differentiate it, like,
or
what are they? It's like they're belly flopping.
Yes. Yeah.
Like they're little seals jumping, and I mean they're not. They don't have that much room, but or you're like, get your whatever foot or head out of my rib.
And the idea that you could possibly, the other day I truly was sitting at my desk, and I had headphones in, so I was kind of buried in what I was doing. I wasn't even thinking, and I finally was pushing down, and I looked up and I was like, enough. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I'm saying that like it's gonna matter, and it's not. But
they get used to your voice. It's good. It's you're not. Yeah. It's a natural instinct to be like, okay.
All right. Do you have any last minute words of advice?
I do have her question.
Oh, we have a question.
Jocelyn wants to know how she can tell the difference between back labor and just normal back pain. She's almost 35 weeks along.
So back labor would be rhythmic. So contractions in general come and go. So if you're having like constant back pain, I would try to alleviate it, doing like heat or ice. Ice works really well, it's hot out, or a bath, things like that. If it does not go away, you start noticing, discharge changes, bleeding, gush of fluid, call your physician. But it would even still be rhythmic because back labor is actually caused from baby being in the wrong position. Not even the wrong position, I shouldn't say it like that. Babies face up until they're ready to come out, and then they face down. So they call it, and babies can deliver face up. It's called sunny side up. My nephew is a stinker like that, and I had the pleasure of being there for and getting him out. But he took a little extra. And moms have to really work hard to get those babies out. So you feel a lot in your back, but it's still rhythmic. It's still uncomfortable. It still comes and goes. So I would say if it's like that, then you need to call. But if it goes away with all the other things, then it's probably just back pain.
And Jocelyn, the show, as long as everything stays normal with this baby, we'll be going for at least 5 more weeks. So please keep us posted on your little one, because I feel like I've gotten very attached to your baby. I'm very excited to hear it whenever he or she makes his or her appearance. So anyway, I'm sorry. So any other last minute words?
So I would say the other thing, we were kind of talking about clothes before we went on because we had a little time. So at this point, nothing fits right? Like
nothing. Nothing.
No.
And that whole I feel like I'm going to need to ask for an amen here. Order your pre-pregnancy size. No. I was told early, no, order up a couple of sizes. And I didn't. Jenny behind the camera is laughing at me because she was one of the kind people who made that suggestion. No. It doesn't, you don't stay your pre-pregnancy size.
Stay, because everything readjusts, right? Like your shoes readjust. Your bras that you're like, but I'm not even breastfeeding
I think
yet,
I'm
right?
on my 3rd different size.
So you know what I could have saved you some money, time, and effort? My shout out Dre and I were talking about this the other day. Bra extenders. They make these bra extenders.
Yes, I have most recently
discovered
they exist.
Yes,
because I don't want to buy another set.
No, and it's not even that you need cup size. You need here.
It's the rib cage expansion.
It digs in. Yeah. So, and you're like, but it's my favorite bra. It's so soft. Now we cannot help you with a sports bra. So sorry, you'll have to get a bigger one for your workout. But just getting a bra extender. Longer tank tops, because you do kind of feel like you need to like cover and adjust. It is summer. Wear
Yes.
flowy, easy clothes, supportive shoes. Supportive shoes, supportive shoes. And why I say that is, no, they're
What
cute,
I'm wearing.
but, well, if you are going to be standing on your feet, no little corkscrew flip flops.
Yeah, these wouldn't work on me.
No, I mean, you may have to spend a little extra money. I get that. I'm sorry, but like, your back's gonna love you for it, okay? But like you said, going up a size in pants or even the shirts, just going flowy. When you get home, be comfy. Put on your husband's shorts and t-shirt. If he gets mad, be like,
oh, he's not allowed. No.
Mine laughed because I would take his favorite shorts with my first. I don't know where those went now. I think you have them. And he was like, "Why?" Any other time you wouldn't wear, I'm like, they're the most comfortable thing ever. Things that before you were like, I never wear that. Bring it.
Yeah.
So just be comfy, be cool. You don't have
And I
to be
say that he's
inappropriate.
not allowed, more generally speaking, than my own situation.
Yeah.
My husband is very kind and donates clothes to my cause. We were traveling last week, and I was getting ready to, I was getting dressed, and I finally looked and was like, I need one of your t-shirts. And he said, okay, here you go. And I think he wore whatever he had left over, and I got the clean white t-shirt, and I was thrilled.
And it's the most comfortable
Oh my
t-shirt
gosh,
ever, right?
Yes.
And there will be
People
days.
live in these. This is
Yeah,
brilliant.
you're like, I can wear this to work every day. There will be days that you're like, I don't want to wear clothes. I don't want to put anything on. You do. You get through it, but just be comfy and don't wear a bra if it's digging in, and don't wear shoes that your feet are gonna hurt. And if you want to wear a ponytail, wear a ponytail. Do what you gotta
That
do.
is the funniest thing too, because your hair, and everybody kept saying, my sister-in-law kept saying, oh, your hair will be so thick, and I didn't believe it because for the longest time I didn't have that experience, but I do have that.
And it grows faster in your nails.
Yes, which I appreciate because I had just chopped my hair and was so excited for it to grow out, but I will more often now just be lifting my hair off
Your
my
neck.
neck because
It's hot. You're like,
yeah.
oh. Postpartum hair loss is real.
Yes, which we will discuss in a couple of weeks. We do have a whole show we're dedicating to postpartum of the mind, and then another show that we're dedicating to postpartum of the body, because I think those are the areas that a lot of us don't know what to expect and have heard snippets here and there of no big deal and horror stories.
Everybody's different. So I think it's like pregnancy, but pregnancy, I think
hair
people
loss
are,
is
I think pregnancy people are very open. Like I can say, well, this happened to me, and you can say, well, so far this has happened to me. Postpartum, you don't know. You don't know how you will be postpartum. Just like I look back and I think, well, I did fine with this one. Could I have done better with that one? I don't know. Everybody's different. So we'll also talk about packing coming up too. So we'll talk about some hospital stuff. What do you have next week?
I knew you were going to ask that question, and the problem is I don't remember.
Pregnancy break!
I looked at it before I left the office, and for the life of me, I cannot recall what it is next week. So
stay tuned. It's a
tune
surprise.
in. It is. It's going to be so exciting. But I would say probably early next week we will put online what the topic is going to be.
Or just have a big question mark.
Exactly, just a big question mark. It's set. I just can't remember what it is. So we will be back next week. I will say also the time will probably be off by, we'll either be at noon or 12:30 probably next week, but that's to be determined. So content is decided, time is not, and I can't tell you either with any certainty, but I can tell you with certainty it is officially close enough to the weekend that we can say enjoy it.
Yes.
And thank you so much for joining us. Have a good one.